Okay, we in here, man. Blessed be the motherfucking tribe, man. Y'all know what time it is, man. Let's go, man. Tribe, man. We in here, man. Turn up one time, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We in here, man. We to it, man. Blessed be the motherfucking tribe, man. Y'all know what time it is, man. Turn up with me, man. Drop some motherfucking likes in that chat, man. Throw them fucking tomahawks up, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We here. You in here with the Hood Indian, man. Let's get into it. Yo, we in here. Peace. Urban Amaru Indian. My bad if I butchered it. We in here, we in here. You know how it is, man. Yo, peace, yo, to the fucking tribes, man. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all in here with your boy, man. The Hood Indian, man. Y'all know me by many names, many masks, man. You know, in the wake of finding oneself and trying to figure out what it is I need to do as an Indian in this community, man. And you know, all I can say is, man, I can't complain, man. I really have, no nothing bad to say, man. I'm blessed, bro. You know what I mean? And we gonna get into it today, man. Shout out, man. Last night, man, Top Cats, man. I know you caught that body, man. I hope you laying low, man, in these YouTube streets, man. Caught that body. It was a beautiful thing. Top Cats, man. I know you know what I'm saying? So, you done motivated me to go ahead and dig back in the archives and let people really know, you understand me, what's going on, man. Once again, man, shout out to the Indians, man. Like, what's up with y'all? How y'all, man? What's really going on with y'all, man? Talk to me. We in here, man. Y'all see the title. You see the thumbnail, man. We going in, man. Garvey, man. What was his position? Man? Let's dig back into some of this Pan Africanism, man. And we not doing it on the sense of to degrade, right? We're doing it in the sense of to help individuals get a historical understanding. You know, it's not to say, oh, kill the Pan Africans, and we not on that over here, bro. You understand me? But I am gonna give my peoples the jewels. You feel me? In the avenue, if I can, to have some type of understanding and different perspective on what's going on. Okay? Now, a lot of people will have you to believe that, Garvey is a Pan Africanist. I got into it with a brother one time where he was trying to argue me up and down and say, Garvey's a Pan Africanist. I said, no, he's a Garveyite, my boy. He made his own shit. Garveyism is a whole movement. He came with his own movement, bro. This is not to say was his movement genuine. That you could go through the history, you could determine that for yourself. You feel me? Because I have my notions about Garvey, but there is a difference between the movement he was pushing and Pan Africanism. You understand? This is the reason why him and Du Bois got into the altercations that they got into, because they had two different philosophies, two different looks. The same goal, though. That's what makes it weird. The same goal, but two different roads on how to get there. You feel me? And that's what this historical lesson right here is about to break down to y'all, man. The brother went in on this. It's from back in the day. I dig in the archives and I go all the way in with it. You understand me? You feel me? So we gonna dig into this, but I want people to really get an understanding of how you gotta really look at these things, man. It's not about warring with those that even claim they have it, because we have this war thing going on, man. We have this identity crisis, right? And for some reason we can't excuse me, that gas. We can't get past it. We can't get over it. You feel me? And if you ask me, this is one of the things that's holding us up, bro. If we can get past these things, bro, we can progress, my nigga. You feel me? No, I'm not on that wave of kill the Pan Africans and kill the slave. Nah, I'm not. Yo, what the fuck can we do to unify? Because I'm going to keep it real with you. Me and my tribe, we locked in. We good. We invested. We doing a whole bunch of shit that we wouldn't even dream of. Me and my wife be sitting in the bed like, yo, this is crazy. You feel me? What can we do as a collective community outside of our immediate families, bro? You feel me? Since we got to deal with each other, we might as well lock in. What are we waiting for? You feel what I'm saying? So that be my thing, bro. That be my only thing, bro. Like we gotta do better, bro, than what it is we've been doing, gang. Like this ain't gonna get it done, bro. Like, you understand me? Like, we gotta do away with the qualms, bro, and all of this other shit, bro, that's irrelevant, bro. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, man, let me go ahead and get into this presentation. Start this presentation, man. Yo, bless. Be the fucking tribe. Ooga, ooga. Y'all know the vibes, man. Y'all know where that come from, man. Y'all know who brought that back out the depths, man. Let's do this shit. We in here, man. Once a fucking again. Ooga, ooga. Let's go. Just wait and see.
Contrary to popular belief, Marcus Garvey was not a Pan-African, nor was the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Are there similarities? Definitely. Just as it could be said that the movement espoused civil rights, but it did not endorse neither philosophy. Marcus Garvey and the UNIA was birthed out of the great tradition of African nationality, also known as black nationalism, along with its mighty forebearers, such as Paul Cuffey, Richard Allen, Martin Delany, Robert Campbell, Edward Blyden, and Henry Highland Garnett, to name a few. Traditionally, the UNIA had more in common with Martin Delany's National Immigration Convention and the Colored National Immigration and Commercial Association, founded by Bishop Henry McNeill Turner, who advocated immigration to Liberia and the purchase of ships, versus the Pan-African Association, founded by Henry Sylvester Williams, which called for biennial meetings at its first and only conference in the year of 1900. African nationalism predates Pan-Africanism more than a century. In 1773, 4 slaves addressed the legislature of Boston to submit to such regulations as may be made relative to us until we leave the province, which we determine to do as we can from our joint labors, procure money to transport ourselves to some part of the coast of Africa, where we propose a settlement. In 1787, a group of 80 blacks from Boston petitioned the legislature to resettle them in Africa. During the 1800s, men such as Delany ascribed to the same thought. In addition to the bylaws of the African Civilization Society's constitution, he drafted 3 articles for Garnett's society. In the second article, he wrote, "The basis of the society and ulterior objects in encouraging immigration shall be self-reliance and self-government on the principle of an African nationality, the African race being the ruling element of the nation, controlling and directing their own affairs." Blyden once wrote, "An African nationality is the great desire of my soul. I believe nationality to be an
See, we also got to understand what type of people they was talking about too. Do not get it confused, because we think that this movement that they was pushing, right, had everybody in mind. No, it did not. You understand? And you got to also understand, bro, the individual that funds the movement, I know this sounds crazy and drastic, but the individual that funds the movement controls the movement. Definitely in a society where everything that you do damn near demands some type of currency. You understand? A bunch of power comes behind that. A bunch of leeway, a bunch of influence comes behind that. You got sucker ass niggas out here, you feel me, with power and influence simply because they got a certain stature of money or they have a certain stature within society. You see what I'm saying? So, just to break that down, we're going to do the in and out. Y'all got any questions, any chat, anything y'all want to drop it in the chat. Don't be shy. If you hating, hit the thumbs down. Let's not waste time. If you loving, you want to see it grow, hit the thumbs up. We back. I told you, y'all said come back. I'm back with a vengeance. Let's go now. Let's go. But like I said, after last night, I seen how confused people really were. DNA, they don't have a concept of Pan-Africanism while still throwing up their fists talking about their Pan-Africanists. It's like, it's this shit, bro. This is scary from a mental and spiritual aspect. This is scary, the avenue that we headed in, bro. You understand me? But yo, peace to the tribe. Ooga ooga. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
ordinance of nature, and no people can rise to an influential position among the nations without a distinct and efficient nationality. And Garnett, presiding over the African Civilization Society, is quoted in the Weekly Anglo-African, resolved that this meeting recognize in the special qualities of the African race the promise of an African nationality, and anticipates in that nationality a valuable element in the commonwealth of nations. Marcus Garvey, too, would arrive at this conclusion and state in 1924 that it is clear that the question of African nationality is not a far-fetched one, but is as reasonable and feasible as the idea of an American nationality. To further illustrate the point, the slogan, Africa for the Africans, echoed by Garvey, can be traced to Martin Delany in his official report of the Niger Valley. Our policy must be, and I hazard nothing in promulgating it, nay, without this design and feeling, there would be a great deficiency of self-respect, pride of race, and love of country, and we might never expect to challenge the respect of nations. Africa for the African race and black men to rule them. By black men I mean men of African descent who claim an identity with the race. With such prospects as these, with such a people as the Yoruba, and others of the best type, as a constituent industrial, social, and political element upon which to establish a national edifice, what is there to prevent success? Nothing in the world. Garvey would later add, those at home and those abroad. He also remarked, for 5 years, the Universal Negro Improvement Association has been advocating the cause of Africa for the Africans. That is, that the Negro peoples of the world should concentrate upon the object of building up for themselves a great nation in Africa. Du Bois, at the Pan-African Congress of 1927, adopted the slogan after previous congresses and the first conference held in 1900, but did not ascribe to its core tenet of building up for themselves a great nation in Africa. This would mark the beginning of the confusion between the two philosophies and terms, Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, being used interchangeably. Despite the UNIA's drafted and unanimous resolution passed against Du Bois in the Pan-African Congress in 1921 at the Second International Negro Peoples of the World Convention. By this time, Garvey was serving a sentence on trumped-up charges in just a few months before being deported. The infrastructure of the Universal Negro Improvement Association shares many aspects of its respective progenies. The Garvey movement maintained the tradition of holding conventions versus conferences and congresses held by the Pan-African movement. Organizationally, Liberty Hall meetings mirrored the African Civilization Society and local chapters of the Liberia Exodus Association, with the opening hymn, From Greenland Icy Mountains, the reciting of the Book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 31, Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. The Pan-African movement took a totally different course. It was one of the first integrationist organizations of the 20th century. The Pan-African movement was financed by Europeans dating as far back as the first Pan-African Conference held in 1900. Today, Pan-Africanists proudly embrace and display the colors of the red, black, and green flag of the UNIA movement and use the slogan, Africa for the Africans.
Y'all heard of who was funded by? It was funded by who now, y'all? The Euros. Uh-oh. That means something. We gotta really watch what's going on, man. That shit is not a game, bro.
Great Congress was unquestionably one of the most notable convocations of recent years in any country. We have had Pan-Presbyterian, Pan-Methodist, Pan-Anglican, Pan-Missionary, and Pan-Congregational councils, but none signified more than this Pan-African Conference. The Chicago Congress on Africa was held during the same time as the 1893 Columbian Exposition in Chicago, commonly referred to as the World Fair. The fair's purpose was to showcase the contributions of world people, but minus the major role people of African descent played, at least not in a positive light. In opposition to the World Fair, the black community attended the Congress on Africa, which was held simultaneously in Chicago. Subjects ranged from history, religion, and civil rights. It was convened by white theologians who invited a cross-section of black leadership. The next biennial Congress would be held in Atlanta, Georgia, which coincided with the Cotton, States, and International Exposition. This is the same exposition where Booker T. Washington gave his famous Atlanta Compromise speech. Despite Garvey's admiration for Washington, his message to the black nationalists in his speech was,
"Those of my race who depend on bettering their condition in a foreign land, or who underestimate the importance of cultivating friend relations with the southern white man, who is their next door neighbor, I would say, cast down your bucket where you are. Cast it down, making friends in every manly way of the people of all races by whom you are surrounded."
Washington held his own Pan-African Conference in 1912, a year after the passing of Henry Sylvester Williams. During the time of the two Congresses, Henry Sylvester Williams had settled in America from 1891 to 1896. In an editorial, Timothy Thomas Fortune, journalist, activist, and Congress on Africa participant, gives an account of fostering the initial idea of a Pan-African Conference, March 1906. Some 10 years ago, Mr. Fortune suggested that the time was ripe for a Congress, out of which might be evolved an association of the Africans and the descendants of Africa from all parts of the world. A West Indian residing in New York at the time the suggestion was made seized upon it and after a while issued a call for such a Congress. To support Fortune's claim, Bishop Alexander Walters, who played a major role at the Congress on Africa in 1893, was elected president of Williams Pan-African Association at the conference. The Pan-African Association appears to be modeled after the Afro-American Council, which was from 1898 to 1907, founded by T. Thomas Fortune and Bishop Alexander Walters. The Afro-American Council was established after the defunct Afro-American League, which too was founded by T. Thomas Fortune in 1887 to 1893. It was an all-black civil rights organization and predecessor to the Niagara Movement and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which Walters served as a member. Walters states that the Pan-African Association's constitution, adopted at the conference, was similar to that of the Afro-American Council, which Walters currently served as president and Fortune as secretary. Early African nationalists like Alexander Crummell and Edward Wilmot Blyden, who were instrumental in a national homeland for blacks in Liberia, were critical of the Afro-American Council, which was openly against the immigration movement. Crummell and Blyden denounced the term Afro-American. It was the belief that a new caste system was being developed. Crummell, in his words, considered it a fanatical and conceited junto, more malignant than white men pushing themselves forward as leaders and aristocrats of the race, and at the same time repudiating the race. And what is the basis of their superiority? Bastardy. Equally unimpressed and more direct, Blyden compliments Crummell's disdain by adding, its real aim is to secure organizations in which lazy and ambitious mulattoes may obtain easy positions of influence and emolument, and also to gather together a crowd of mulattoes who will assume to represent the colored people of the African question. Crummell, who had attended the Congress on Africa in 1895, died 2 years before the Pan-African Conference, and Blyden, who made a submission to the Congress on Africa, did not attend the Pan-African Conference for obvious reasons. He believed in a more exclusively race philosophy to help redeem Africa and build an African nationality. Blyden was suspicious of Williams. In 1908, in a letter to the Liberian Council, he accused Williams of interfering in the South African struggle for independence. A more contemporary nationalist view on the matter comes by way of Marcus Garvey, who, in his article, An Exposé of the Caste System Among Negro States, in New York, Boston, Washington, and Detroit, Garvey further discovered the activities of the Blue Vein Society and the Colonial Club. The West Indian Lights formed the Colonial Club, and the American Lights formed the Blue Vein Society. The Colonial Club would give annual balls beside regular or monthly soirees, and no one less than quadroon would be admitted. And gentlemen below the complexion were only admitted if they were lawyers, doctors, or very successful businessmen with plenty of cash, who were known to uphold the caste aristocracy. Could this be said of the Pan-African Conference and its association? Williams' marriage to a European. 1/3 of the conference attendees was made up of Europeans. 1/4 of the Pan-African Association's executive board was European. Its major funding source came from white philanthropists. Some notable philanthropists who financed the conference and association was Sir Harry Johnston, who played a pivotal role in brokering the deal to divide Africa at the Berlin Conference, commonly referred to as the Scramble for Africa. The Fabian Society were contributors, which is a democratic socialist movement. It was named after Fabius Maximus, commonly known as the Delayer, who defeated Hannibal by gradually prolonging the war. Its coat of arms logo is of a wolf in sheep's clothing. The society had a patronizing view of people of color, although Williams would join the society in 1905. The collapse of the association came shortly after the conference, while Williams and Walters were outside of the UK organizing chapters. Frank Colenso, treasurer of the association, was at the center of the dissolution of the organization. The next attempt of holding a Pan-African conference was the International Conference on the Negro, hosted by Booker T. Washington. Du Bois, by 1919, will hold the next gathering distinguished as the Pan-African Congress. He would hold 4 congresses leading up to the historic Pan-African Congress held in 1945, which he served as co-chairman and was recognized as the father of Pan-Africanism by his newly Pan-African constituents. His first 2 congresses, in 1919 and 1921, were financed by the NAACP, which he received the Spingarn Medal in 1920, named after Major Joel E. Spingarn, chairman of the NAACP, but more importantly, he served as a post-war intelligence officer. Under his chairmanship, the NAACP maintained its intelligence files on the Garvey movement. With imprisonment, deportation, reincorporating the UNIA in 1929 and the Great Depression, the association remained steadfast in its pursuit for an African nationality. Like early nationalists such as Bishop Turner's endorsement of the Butler Bill to establish a nation outside of America in the late 1800s, so did the Garvey movement, who supported Senator Theodore Bilbo's bill to repatriate in the 1930s. As for Du Bois, the Pan-African movement had stalled by 1927, but was given a thrust in the 1940s onward. The new push came by way of some of Garvey's detractors, George Padmore, former follower of Russian communist Joseph Stalin, and C.L.R. James, follower of Leon Trotsky and former member of the African Blood Brotherhood, the black wing of the Communist Party, founded by Cyril Briggs, who too played a role in Garvey's trial and deportation. Though Garvey made a financial contribution to Padmore and James' International African Service Bureau in 1937, which diametrically opposed Garveyism, the two openly heckled him at Hyde Park, also known as the Speaker's Corner. In Padmore's words, the IASB supported the demands of Africans, Asians, and other colonial people for democratic rights, civil liberties, and self-determination. Although active members of the Bureau was confined to Africans and people of African descent regardless of nationality, political creed, or religious faith, who accepted its aims and abided by its constitution, Europeans and others who desired to demonstrate in a practical way their interest in Africa's welfare were permitted to become associate members, while officers of the IASB realized that a subject people must assume the major responsibility in their struggle for self-government. They were definitely opposed to racial exclusiveness. It was Padmore and Briggs who put out premature and scathing obituaries of Marcus Garvey in May 1940, while he was convalescing in England from a stroke he previously suffered. The UNIA had to put out an article to dismiss the claim. Days after reading deplorable remarks made of his death, Garvey succumbed to another stroke and passed on June 10, 1940. It was Padmore's belief, where Du Bois differed from Garvey, was in his conception of the Pan-African movement as an aid to the promotion of national self-determination among Africans under African leadership for the benefit of Africans themselves. Marcus Garvey, on the other hand, looked upon Africa as a place for colonizing Western Negroes under his personal domination. As a result, there was never any basis for collaboration between Garvey and Du Bois, who, in their respective spheres, were then the two outstanding Negro leaders in the Western Hemisphere. Padmore also adds that before the Fourth Pan-African Congress took place in 1927, several events occurred which were destined to have far-reaching effect both upon the future development of the Pan-African movement and Anglo-African relations in West Africa. First, Garvey's Black Zionism collapsed even before the Negro Moses set foot in the promised land of Africa. Not just Garveyism, but African nationalism in general was minimized to what is commonly referred to as the Back to Africa movement or Black Zionism. Other Pan-Africanists went on the attack as well, such as C.L.R. James, who said, "True, he attacked lynching, he formulated militant demands, equal rights for Negroes, democratic liberties, etc., but the program was essentially back to Africa. It was pitiable rubbish, but the Negroes wanted a leader, and they took the first that was offered them." Unquestionably, at the 1945 Pan-African Congress, it was a changing of the guard from its inception in the West to the African conception, though it maintained many of its tenets. Kwame Nkrumah, noted for his leadership at the conference, credits Marcus Garvey for his inspiration in saying, "I read Hegel, Karl Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Bazzini. The writings of these men did much to influence me in my revolutionary ideas and activities, and Karl Marx and Lenin particularly impressed me as I felt sure that their philosophy was capable of solving these problems. But I think of all the literature that I studied, the book that did more than any other to fire my enthusiasm was Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, published in 1923. Yet it appears as if he had great admiration for Garvey. In his assessment, he was just as critical as Du Bois, Padmore, and James." Nkrumah remarked, "Like Garveyism, the first four conferences were not born of indigenous African consciousness. Garvey's ideology was concerned with black nationalism as opposed to African nationalism and brought about the awakening of African political consciousness." Nkrumah and the Congress's aversion of African nationalism differed from the forebearers of African nationalism. At the Congress of 1945, he explains, "African nationalism, a revolt by African nationalism against colonialism, racialism, and imperialism in Africa, and it adopted Marxist socialism as its philosophy." He further states that this is where Pan-African nationalism was formulated. To further delineate his stance concerning Garvey and delivering a speech in Liberia, years prior to where the UNIA had intended to move its headquarters and develop settlements, he states, "I was getting into my stride and receiving as much encouragement from the enthusiastic crowd as I did from my own people at the arena in Accra. Africa for the Africans, I cried. Africa for the Africans, but not the kind of philosophy that of Marcus Garvey preached. No, we are bringing into being another Africa for the Africans with a different concept, and that concept is what?" I paused for a moment. "A free and independent state in Africa. We want to be able to govern ourselves in this country of ours without outside interference, and we are going to see that it is done. My words were lost in a roar of acclamation, and it was several minutes before it was quiet enough for me to proceed. This concept of African nationalism and Africa for the African became exclusively continental versus universal. To further illustrate the point, Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael of SNCC and the Black Panther Party, shares his discussion on the matter with Nkrumah as he attempts to organize the All-African People's Party on behalf of Nkrumah. You've clearly outlined the objective and process here for us. But Africa for Africans? We are Africans, sir. How can you prohibit us from joining the party? I said I'd be willing, honored to devote a lot of time to working to establish at least the basis for organizing branches of the All-African People's Revolutionary Party in the Western Hemisphere. He was skeptical, saying the program was really addressed to the continent. He hadn't really been thinking of the diaspora as part of the party. Ture further goes on to say, wouldn't that be a great historical injustice? Then I played back everything we talked about concerning the interrelatedness of the black struggle. Long silence.
Hey, yo, 7, what's up with you, my boy? Yo, this is my motherfucking man right here, man. King 7 completely in the building, man. Yo, y'all drop some ones in that shit for my boy. Yo. Y'all know what time it is, man. Hey, yo, 7, what you on, man? You be MIA and shit, nigga. You be hard to find, bro. I got all your contacts, all your social medias, bro. That's okay, fine. Hey, then you say you was getting on for Facebook, bro. So what you doing?
He looked at me intently. Then he smiled. All right, I'll give you the permission/mission to begin organizing the basis for the All-African People's Revolutionary Party among our people in the diaspora. And so I have tried to do so. It was not until 1958, 18 years after Garvey's passing at the All-African People's Conference held in Accra, Ghana, that he was accorded the Pan-African moniker. At the conference, Dr. R. Nkomo Duchesne, in his For a Pan-African Federation, wrote, though Garvey never used the term Pan-Africa, he planned and labored to establish a Pan-African nation. This, along with other writings, would further distort Garvey's life works and the ideology of black nationalism. Notable activists and scholars would begin to echo this as well. An example of this comes by way of Malcolm X during his trip to Ghana after departing from the Nation of Islam. He states, I used to define black nationalism as the idea that the black man should control the economy of his community, the politics of his community, and so forth. But when I was in Africa in May, in Ghana, I was speaking with the Algerian ambassador, who is extremely militant and is a revolutionary in the true sense of the word, and has his credentials as such for having carried on a successful revolution against oppression in his own country. When I told him that my political, social, and economic philosophy was black nationalism, he asked me very frankly, well, where did that leave him? Because he was white. He was an African, but he was Algerian, and to all appearances, he was a white man. And he said, if I define my objectives as the victory of black nationalism, where does that leave revolutionaries in Morocco, Egypt, Iraq, Mauritania? So he showed me where I was alienating people who were true revolutionaries dedicated to overturning the system of exploitation that exists on this earth by any means necessary. Afterwards, Malcolm X, in referring to Garvey, would say it was Marcus Garvey's philosophy of Pan-Africanism that initiated the entire freedom movement that brought about independence of the African nations. Dr. Clark, in the documentary A Great and Mighty Walk, stated the ultimate Pan-African was the Jamaican Marcus Garvey. Further examination of the Pan-African movement, we see noted Pan-African nationalists married outside of their esteemed race, such as George Padmore, C.L.R. James, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Leopold Senghor, which is a direct contradiction to the principles of black nationalism. The latter three would become the first presidents of their respective countries and their wives, first ladies, with exception to Kenyatta, who remarried. After the Fifth Pan-African Congress, the term over the years took on a new nuance, usurping black nationalism and overshadowing its core values and beliefs. Scholars, black and white, have distinguished the two ideologies under Pan-Africanism by using an upper and lowercase p to denote formal and informal Pan-Africanism. It has been elected to use an uppercase p when referring to the first conference and congresses from 1900 to 1945. A lowercase p is used when referring to nationalists prior to this period and those who are not cut from the cloth of Williams per se. Another major factor that further distinguishes the two ideologies is Pan-African nationalism's adoption of Marxism, which was formulated by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, two known racists. Garvey made his assertion about Karl Marx's philosophy. Communism is a white man's creation to solve his own political problems and economic problems. It suggests the enthronement of the white working class over the capitalistic class of the race. It was conceived by white men who were in sympathy with the economic struggles of their own white masses. It was never conceived and originally intended for the economic or political emancipation of the blacks, but rather to raise the earning capacity of the lowest class of white workers. We find by the mid-20th century, Marcus Garvey and black nationalism became overshadowed by the wave of Pan-Africanism and its approach to African unity. Because of Garvey's position regarding race, politics, and historical context, this excludes him indefinitely from what is termed as Pan-African nationalism. Though beclouded by scholars, activists, sympathizers, and opportunists, Garvey's ideology still remains relevant in the hearts and minds of black nationalists and Pan-Africanists alike. This segment is not to be divisive nor negate the role and history of Pan-Africanism or Pan-African nationalists who tirelessly gave their lives for Africa and her people, but to clarify misleading perceptions of Marcus Garvey and black nationalism. To learn more about Marcus Garvey, Garvism, and black nationalism, subscribe to our channel and join the Marcus Garvey Society on Facebook. One God, one aim, one destiny.
So as you see, this is the point that I was trying to make right here, man. A lot of people got a misconception because, like, the stories that we've been taught is that, yo, Garvey was a face for Pan-Africanism, and he wasn't. He had a whole movement called Garveyism, Garveyites. When you got people that go by those type of names individually, bro, they stand for something. It's a philosophy that they follow. That's why they called that. You feel me? So a lot of people got the misconception. I'm not saying that what he was doing was for the people, because I honestly don't think that it was. He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, all types of shit. They could people say, bro, that's propaganda. It could possibly be, bro, but most of these political leaders and these people of influence, what they get caught doing, some bullshit. It's not all of them, but very few of them don't, but most of them do. But that was my point of showing you. Like I said last night from that debate, it just showed me that we 30, 40, 50 years old and still can't grasp what the hell is going on, bro. I understand we wasn't taught these things in school, bro, but a lot of this shit is public records. It's public information. You feel me? So it's like, you got a mind, you got to decipher through what's real and what's fake, yo. You feel me? What's true and what's not. You feel me? Reality is the arbiter of that shit, bro. Not you and how you feel about the shit. You feel me? So that's how you got to look into shit, man. If you ain't looking into it like that, then I don't know what you can expect from it. But you already know what time it is, man. The whole India, man. We in here, man. I appreciate y'all coming out. You know, spend your time with me. Hey, yo, 7, what's up with you, bro? I appreciate you coming out, bro. Hey, yo, hit me on the shit when I get off of here, bro. And we could chop it up and shit, man. But I don't know, man. it's getting to a point where that making excuses of, oh, I didn't know. If you don't pay for it, somebody else is going to, yo. So it's like, don't think that, oh, yeah, I went through my whole life, I ducked karma and all that. No, you got loved ones and friends and shit. That's who you footed that bill to. So you think about the shit that you're doing. You feel me? Because even if you think that you're getting away with it, somebody's gonna pay for that. That's just how it go. You feel me? We don't make up the rules, we just play by. You feel me?